Hello, my name is Barbara Arrieta. I'll be hosting this episode of the Footprints of Pacifica, brought to you by the Pacifica Historical Society. Tonight's topic will be the early days of the Art Guild of Pacifica. As you may or may not be aware, Pacifica is home to a vibrant community of artists, and the Art Guild has long been an important element in the cultural life of Pacifica and in other communities also. We are honored to welcome to our studio tonight our guests Jackie Dicello and Tom Jackson.
Thank you.
They are both long-term Pacifica residents and are and have been members of our art community. Welcome, and before we talk about the Art Guild, I'd like to ask you a few questions about maybe a mutual experience that we've had growing up in San Francisco and your schooling and things of that sort.
I mean, Jackie and I.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I went to Mission High School. She went to Poly, so we're just opposite sides of the peaks. But our background actually is very similar. We were both soda jerks. A lot of people don't know what that is at a very early age. Different ends of town.
I know what a soda jerk is. You wore a little hat.
Yeah.
And you had one of those.
Scissors.
Yeah.
Oh man, I can make a sundae and then a milkshake, and Jackie could too, but we didn't know each other at that time. She was at the top of Parnassus, and I was down in the Tenderloin, if you'll pardon the expression. But no, that was our similar childhood. And I worked in pharmacies, Jackie worked in pharmacies, and then I started working in medical buildings, and so I have a medical background to that degree. And then when I got out of there, well, I became a hod carrier, and I figured, good training for a hod carrier. And I was there for 35 years, and that's what put me my back out and took me out of the art business.
Wow. Jackie, what about you? Were you also a hod carrier, or how did you come up through the ranks?
No, actually, I wasn't a hod carrier. I went to business college, and I was usually in some sort of business. Later, I worked at UC Hospital for quite a while.
Oh, you had kind of a common experience in the medical
Quite
buildings?
a bit.
Oh yeah.
Quite a bit. It's really strange. But my whole world was standing in Parnassus for 18 years. That everything I did was right there. So my artwork was on my own.
When and why did you, how did you get involved in the artwork?
It's a curse. Yeah. I had to do it. Just had to do it. It was just something.
They've often called it a calling, but...
Yeah, well, it's just something. You got to get up every morning. You have that pencil or whatever, and you work. I think the first time I ever did something, an animal or a portrait, that really looked exactly like that person frightened me. And so I had to keep going with it. I was amazed that I could do something like that,
But what part of your life did you realize that art was going to be an important part of your life?
Well, I started doing shows, and actually I was a street artist for a while too. And
Did
then
I
began.
see you in Ghirardelli?
Yeah, oh yes, absolutely. And from there, I started doing other shows and won awards with the governor's office and places like that. Started showing galleries. One day I decided to go to a school and see if I could maybe learn some more, and they hired me
Excellent.
at a private school in San Francisco, so that was it.
Tom,
Yes.
how about yourself?
My-
When and
Well, my
when
art.
did you get the calling?
Oh, I got the calling right when I was a kid. That was it. That's all we had as a kid. We didn't have toys, but we had snails. And there was nothing the teachers would reach their hand in our pockets and pull out a snail, and they'd scream, so they didn't put their hands in our pockets any longer, because we had snail races.
Coming from San Francisco, we had a neighborhood boy a couple houses down who also collected snails for his grandmother who cooked snails.
Yeah.
And so consequently, he would put all the snails on my arm, up and down my arms, and I would carry the snails to his house and hope that they didn't go all over my body. But
I
I
think
put
that
them,
was a different type of snail, though.
I-
Escargot.
Probably. I have no idea. They look like street snails to me.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
But my mother almost passed out when she found them in the bathtub because I didn't know where to put them, so I put them all in the bathtub. And she,
Good
well, that was the end of
choice.
my snail collecting days.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you were doing the snails as your art?
No, I did. I started drawing. Actually, I started drawing cartoons in the building trades. I kept leaving cartoons everywhere. I see some situation, I do the cartoon, and I'd leave it on a piece of sheetrock or anything that was there. And years later, I found out these different craftsmen were saving these things. They lined their garages with them.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Did any of them say Kilroy was here?
No, that was
A little bit before?
me. Yeah, that was World War II. Yeah.
When and why did you move to Pacifica?
I moved here because my kids started growing up and they had the school system busing, and I didn't like that. And as much as I fought against it and voted against it, they were going to take my kids out of their school, which is local, your neighborhood, and ship them to Hunters Point, and then they had to go over there in the morning, 2 hours there, 2 hours back. That's 4 hours study. And then, but they were going to take the kids out of Hunters Point and bus them into our area and let them see how we live and let them know they're not going to have it that way.
Now, were you and Jackie together at the time when you came down to Pacifica, or?
No, that's
It's another story.
that's another story.
Well, in time frame, what year did you both come down to Pacifica?
Oh, I came in 57.
And Tom?
I guess about
68.
68.
All right, so Jackie arrives here first. Now, 57, that's the birth of the incorporation, the birth of Pacifica as the city. And when did you get involved with the Art Guild?
Well, the Art Guild was birthed the same year.
No, actually 58, wasn't it?
58.
Yeah, but 57 is when Pacifica
Yes.
started. Yeah.
Exactly. And they came in 58 through Juanita Lombardi, who was the postmistress in Rockaway Beach at the time and later in Lindemar. She was not an artist, but she noticed the culture here and saw all the people who were doing such great artwork, and she said, they need a group. And she formed it. There was only 7 people in the charter group.
I see. Well, I see that you've
Yeah.
got pictures there.
Yeah.
Let's take a look.
Actually, this one, he isn't listed on the charter, but I know he was there very early. This is Larry Kempfer. He's gonna
Larry
do that.
Kempfer?
Yeah.
On
And
the far
he's
right, that's Kemper, yeah.
he's at the
here.
Sanchez Adobe. We used to have shows there frequently. And my son is standing next to him. All the kids are watching him throw pottery. He had a store in Pacific Manor at the time, and he would quite often have meetings at his place when the Art Guild was looking for quarters to.
What type
be-
of a store? Was it an artistic store?
Yeah, kind of. I thought it was a music store, but I don't know. My memory's not the best.
What else do we have?
And this is
This is
Okay.
Bob and Luther Spraker and Bob Southworth on the right there. These two guys, these two gentlemen, were
he's got
a
it now.
boon. They were a boon to the Art Guild.
Uh-huh.
They collected our paintings, they hung them, they took them to the city or any other place we may have had, Sacramento, any other place we may have had another show. Well, they took them there and brought them back to us. And, that was quite a chore. They had a truck, and they enjoyed doing it. So these two guys were very essential.
Excellent. Do we have pictures of the charter members?
no. These two are the only pictures I have. The Bob and Luther of a charter member. There were others. I mean, the Juanita Lombardi. I don't have her picture. Don Carlson, who was an art teacher here for many years at Jefferson. I don't have his picture either. They're just, scattered.
Question, enumerating what I believe are some of the charter members for the information for the archives. Angel Stewart, is Angel Stewart a charter member?
No,
All right.
She was a very early member.
I've
you
got
know.
some names here.
Yeah.
How about Harold Edminster?
No. They came a little bit later.
Sandor Puski and
No,
Ann?
they're all a little bit later.
Sandor Puski was the one responsible for getting me into ceramics. He had a ceramic shop over here off the point, and he was, I love Sandor. Real good man. He died of cancer some years back, but his wife
Right.
is still around.
In the beginning, ceramics wasn't really taken too seriously as an art form. I hear from other artists.
Yeah, maybe here, because, it depended on what type of artist that moved in and took over. Most of them were oil painters, watercolors, and that kind, because it was easy to pack around. I couldn't take 20 pounds, 40 pounds of clay and bring it out in a field and start sculpting out there. I had to have space for that, because I got sloppy. I got pretty sloppy with it, you know.
How was the Art Guild founded? It was founded in 1958, and you say Juanita started
Juanita
this.
Lombardi.
She was the postmistress.
Yes.
And actually, probably really a fabulous help for you guys to organize
Oh,
and
yeah.
to really get this thing
Right.
together. But we have Larry Kempfer, and we had Bob Southworth, Luther Spraker. What about Carol Kirkpatrick?
Yes, she was a charter member, and June Alley, and
Martin,
her husband.
right.
There was only the 8th, like I mentioned.
Betsy
So,
Day
Yes,
and Don Carlson.
right.
And you joined the Art Guild when, Jackie?
In 61,
Tom?
so
We tried to
by
work
68,
about
somewhere.
68, somewhere
Yeah.
around there.
So as soon as you came.
Yeah.
So when did you two meet? Was it before you came to Pacifica, or?
No, we
No.
met here.
No,
Met here at the
through the arts, basically.
through the arts, and that was a rumor going around, and it was. There was nothing to it. It's just that we met there, and we went to all these meetings together. Oh, hi, how are you? You know, and that kind of thing. So as the years went on, well, we were both married 27 years, different people. So as the years went on, I was working in Eureka for 2 years, restoring a Victorian, and I called her up and I said, "Hey, I'm coming back down to Pacifica. You want a pizza?" She says, "Yeah, come on." So I came back down, and we struck up a friendship, and I never did buy her the pizza.
Well, that's you're a Scotsman, aren't you?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
He's paying for it now.
Oh, we won't go there. What were the guiding principles of the early Art Guild, and who was allowed to join at that time?
Anybody.
Anybody. We hoped that we'd have
Anyone.
all Pacificans. And
Yes, in fact, as we did. There was everyone who joined for the 70, 80 to 100 members in time were all Pacificans, except
Yeah.
about 6. We allowed a few that came from Daly City or Millbrae. I think that's about as far away as
And they had
anyway.
stellar credentials.
Yes.
Oh, they were good,
absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely. And we charged a yearly dues, which was very minimal. I think it was like $15. And then saved up all that money to either rent a place to have a party or use it for the,
Which leads up to another question.
Yeah.
Where did the Art Guild hold its meetings and art shows in the early years? Where did you meet?
well, when I came, they were meeting at the American Legion Auxiliary Building in Sharp Park. And prior to that, they were meeting anywhere they could, from Central Food Market to maybe somebody's house.
Library.
And then
The Hilton Library?
yeah, the Hilton Library in the little room downstairs.
Are you the people who painted the walls in,
No.
in that?
No, but
No.
some of the people did. Yes,
Yeah,
I did not.
I really
yeah.
like that. It's
Yeah.
a good job. What about the art shows in the early years? Where
Okay.
were they being held?
Well, they were held sometimes at the Round Table, which was a spot over on Pedro Point. And that happens to be a show that Tom and I were both in. and it says Mitzi and Doc Steele, the art guild, show he did the Doc of the sculpture, and I did the pastel of the cat, Mitzi. And that's
Mitzi.
our picture there.
By the way, you do beautiful work with cats. I
Thank
have
you.
seen her work with cats, folks, and they look like photographs.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. You
Okay.
capture. If you could see Mitzi in person, you would see that she has captured Mitzi's soul in those eyes. What else do we have here?
Here's another picture of, Tom talked about the outfits we
Yeah, the
wore.
outfits. We dressed up when we went to, we were bartenders every year. Jackie and I
So
were,
do jerks, the bartenders. There's a
Bartenders.
certain synchronicity
we were the
there.
bartenders, and we decided, well, let's dress up. So that's me, Abu Bin Adhem, the Sheik, and then there's Jackie, she's
Whatever.
La Patita, and she had all these little things she bought at the junk shop. And,
great
and we
fun.
ran out of wine, and she had to run across the highway
To
go get some
Safeway.
more wine to Safeway, dressed like that.
But you know, I don't know what year it was, but she probably didn't, nobody batted
No.
No,
an eyelash.
No.
in
to-
San Francisco, they did.
Not in
they
San
would've looked the
Francisco,
other
they
way,
wouldn't.
yeah.
Now,
Absolutely.
these people here, they wore some of my hats. I have about 500 hats in the
Lola
house.
Curtis at the top.
And then these here is Luther Spraker again with
Yeah,
Lucy
that-
Muir.
that's Lola Curtis and Gene Jackson.
Okay. And we have, did the Guild focus on any one type of artwork in the beginning?
Mostly contemporary
Yeah.
work.
Oil paints,
Yeah.
water paints,
Anything.
pastels?
Then they-
Pastels, casings, pencil, sketches.
yeah.
But they weren't really doing sculpture? at
Later
that-
on, that
Later
came
on,
in,
later
and
on,
stained glass
later on,
and that
yeah.
sort of thing. These are just some more pictures at the bar.
Oh, more pictures. We
Yeah.
love pictures.
That's the bartenders.
The bartenders and so forth.
Yeah.
We love pictures. Pictures are so interesting.
This one here is my dad. He used to play the piano at the parties. Kind of
Very
honky
talented.
tonk music.
Honky-tonk.
Everybody stood around and sang and so forth. So we had fun.
Was it kind of like ragtime also?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
right.
we,
time.
we have a
could play
fellow,
anything.
a matter of fact, the Pacifica Historical Society every year has a man named Bob Milne, very, very talented
Yes.
ragtime piano player.
Yeah.
That's
Comes
right.
every July.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. Now, what type of meetings? Did you have monthly or did you
Yes.
have quarterly? What
Yeah.
was going on?
They were monthly, and we always had a guest speaker of some sort to make it interesting, and they'd have their coffee and cake or whatever afterwards. Sometimes they were at the places we just mentioned. A few times we had them at our house, and Tom showed them framing or cutting glass or something of that nature.
I know that the Art Guild had several shows. Now, they showed at the Fairmont,
Yes.
Long Table at Pedro Point.
Right.
Where
Yeah.
else? Where else did they show?
Well, the Adobe for a long time. Every Mother's Day, they'd
Firehouse.
have it, the Adobe. And then
The
they
Sanchez
also...
Adobe, every Mother's Day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this is, although they did go to the Fairmont Shopping Mall on Mother's Day too.
And the firehouse came into existence, so what, through
This
the...
is more of a contemporary shot of the firehouse.
Yeah. There
But,
used to be a bar next
Right
door
next door was
called Damon's Hayloft.
Damon's Hayloft.
And you have a little smile on your faces. Damon's Hayloft has a story to itself. huh?
Well, yeah, we had the open house for our art show. Free wine, free this, free that. And these guys had come in from next door. They could barely find a door. And they come walking through. Oh, yeah, beautiful, beautiful. And we asked them if they want a glass of wine. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of smart. No one's
Yeah.
feelings are hurt, and everybody can use a compliment with their work.
Oh, sure.
So, but this was what, the Periwinkle Art Gallery?
At one time,
At
yeah.
one time.
After that,
Yeah.
it
At
was
one time.
Periwinkle.
Right. What else do we have here?
Oh dear. Well, we had some of the personalities, that were around town in the early days.
All right, so let's mention a few
I
of
think
those.
there'll be a few people around that would remember them. This is Angel Stewart, who was kind of a character, but she also was a very good historian.
Angel Stewart.
Yes, she collected all kinds of things, and when she passed away, they found all sorts of good things you probably have in your historical room now. I can't tell you what, but lots of, memorabilia from here.
Very good. What about the next one?
This was Ed Minster.
This is Tom.
Is that Howard?
Howard Ed Minster, school teacher, and but he was with the guild.
Harold Edmondson.
Howard.
Oh, they have Harold down here,
Yeah.
so it's Howard, huh?
Close enough, huh?
Close enough, but no cigar.
Yeah.
And this is some of his work. He mixed ceramics with metal, and I kind of like the design he had on them. Really unique.
He was a school teacher in San Francisco. I believe it was Lincoln
High School?
High School.
Okay.
Not positive about that, but
What else do we have?
this was,
Do we have any of Virgil Scott or Lola Curtis?
well, we've got Lola Curtis here and Bruce Fancher on the back.
So that's how you pronounce it, because it's a French-sounding appearing name, and sometimes
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
say
And she,
Right.
exactly.
He was a potter. He's probably at one of the shows in that picture.
Yeah.
And Lola was in one of my classes, and then she was also the president of the art guild at one time. She was famous for not letting you tell her no. When she called you up and asked you to do a job,
I see.
she would say, "Oh yes," and by the time you got off the phone, you already. On the other side is the
What have we got?
okay.
there's
This is,
Sandor Puski and Ann Puski up there.
And Sandor Puski gave you advice.
yeah.
Yeah, he started me off in the ceramics, and over here is what's his name?
Chris Hunter.
Chris Hunter.
And
And that's
Chris Hunter.
yeah, he was the editor of
Back
the
in the
paper.
day.
Yeah.
Yes. All
And that's,
right.
what's her name?
And this is Virgil Scott down here.
Oh, this has been very interesting.
Yes.
I have the privilege of visiting Jackie and Tom's art-filled home, and we have a video to share with the audience. So
All right.
let's see what we can see at Jackie and Tom's home. All right.
You better explain that.
Oh,
one.
that one
Yeah.
was from Filoli Gardens. They had a show, and I was able to be there
And Filoli Gardens
Filoli
is
Gardens.
where?
in Redwood City.
Off Edgewood Road.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
off Kenyatta.
Yes.
That's right.
The farmer's on, the farmer looks at the guy with the
Yeah.
All right.
That's
what have we got?
San Pedro Park. I used to take classes back there quite often, and we painted every edge of
She
it.
took classes out there.
Yeah, I took them. This is at the beach. I was fascinated with footprints. There you go. And the beach sand. That's just a still life that I did for. I do a lot of commission work. This one is an attic. It's going to be this year's Christmas card, as a matter of fact. And this is the conservatory in Golden Gate Park. I did a lot of paintings for Golden Gate Park.
That one scene reminds me of an afternoon on the Grand Jetty.
Oh, it's fun, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
And I do the ocean quite often. I'd do it every day if I could get away with it. That's
I've always
just
liked this
another still life. All the frames were carved by Tom Jackson. They're all special.
Yeah.
That wasn't carved, but anyway.
Where was that? Where was that?
It's just a makeup thing. This one here is of Pedro Point. And they showed my cluttered studio.
And this
I
is
hope they have your cats because
I don't think so.
Oh,
this
that's
is,
beautiful work.
Tom Jackson at his best.
Okay.
Little rooster. Oh, this one here was, Tom put our faces on there and thought that would be funny to send out.
All right. Well, that was
Here.
very interesting. I only wish that we had seen some more of your cats because
Oh.
you do wonderful work, absolutely beautiful work when it comes to animals.
Thank you.
All of your work is beautiful,
Thank
but
you.
especially when it comes to capturing the essence of the cats.
They're fun.
She puts the soul in it.
That's right. As a matter of fact, there was one cat that I saw that I really liked, and that was done by you. That was a fun thing. What was that? Cat Tut?
Cat Tut.
Let's see, Cat Tut.
No, that's not Cat Tut.
This is not Cat Tut.
That's HMS Cat.
Oh, where's Cat Tut?
Cat Tut is of the cat of Tutankhamen.
Ah,
He had-
yes,
he had
yes.
that big
I'm
helmet.
sorry. I thought you had his picture
No,
here.
I did too.
He was King
Anyway,
Khufu's cat.
King Khufu.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now this, well, let's show this one though. We've got
Yeah.
it here. And this one is
Oh, that's HMS Cat.
HMS
He's
Cat.
saying, I don't have to show you those stinking badges, you know. But under the back of his hat, he's got a fish.
Uh-huh.
So in other words, it was, I don't have to show you no stinking fishes, because he got the fish under his hat. He was my mascot. I still have him.
Uh-huh.
And I had him around me for, many
You know,
years.
perhaps you could sell him to some of these dental groups around here, huh?
Oh, yeah, I thought of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what do we have here? I used to work with a man named Art Finley at KGO,
Uh-huh.
and we used to call him Emperor Norton.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is Emperor Norton, the sculpture I did of him, and I read up on him, I did everything about him, and I became him. So when I put the clay out there, I drew him, and I drew it first, then I sculpted it. This is now a piece of property of the Maine Public
California Historical
California
Society.
Historia.
How
Yeah,
very
it's all in
interesting.
Yeah.
So,
Now you moved from the Sanchez School where the art was going on to your home, and why did you do that?
well, we were at the Sanchez School when they first opened up to teachers, after the school closed. And we were there for a few years until one day they had a fire.
And so with that fire, you moved back to your home, and did you have
Set up.
students come there?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
had
Okay.
students twice a day,
Yeah.
10 in each class. And,
And
Twice
that's
a
what
week.
you are you still doing that, or
no, we stopped
You both
2 years
stopped.
ago.
What a wonderful experience!
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That seems to be all we have time for tonight's show about the Art Guild of Pacifica. We're grateful to Jackie and Tom for sharing the studio tonight, and we want to remind you to join us at the Pacifica Historical Society. Call 359-5462. Again, 359-5462, or go to www.pacificahistory.org. pacificahistory.org. Thank you and good night.